Before Parkland, before Sandy Hook, even before Columbine, back in 1994, violence struck Grimsley High School in Greensboro as a student shot an assistant principal and then killed himself in front of other kids just as the school bell rang. 16-year-old Nicholas Atkinson had been suspended by that assistant principal earlier in the week after being caught smoking.
They believe an imposed suspension was the last straw that sent him over the edge.
Somebody was shot.
Now what we need to do as parents and community members is all band together to see if we can eradicate the violence that we have with our youth.
I heard the gunshots.
Mickey Weaver's
and because
life
I had never heard gunshots before, I didn't have a point of reference.
changed forever.
I just felt incredibly sad. There is a little bit of a shattering that happens where, it changes sort of the lens you see the world through.
The then high school senior knew she had to do something, so she recruited friends to join the Students Against Violence Everywhere chapter at Grimsley.
This doesn't have to happen again. It doesn't have to happen at all. And if you use yourself and your peer pressure in a positive way, we can decrease this. We can stop it.
More than anything, we talked about inclusivity, being aware of your peers, alternatives to violence.
The club captured the eye of then Governor Jim Hunt, who told an assembly on campus, "You can't ever be perfectly safe, but we can do more than what we're doing."
There were a lot of politicians that were present around that time because it was certainly an unusual event.
By 1999, Greensboro students showed up in Time magazine.
And it garnered a lot of attention. With Columbine, it felt like violence in schools was a new phenomenon. And the reality is that there had been violence in schools long before then. But Columbine and Sandy Hook and those mass shootings, to me, those things feel more like terrorism.
The voters are coming.
Mickey thinks it's great that kids are still getting involved in politics, but
I have children now in high school that are the same age I was when I was part of this club. And I don't feel like things have improved, and that's not to say that the club's not important and that it doesn't have a place, but I just feel like there's a broader conversation we have to have.
that's why she's still looking back to figure out how we can move forward together.
I think on whole, if all of us spend a little bit more time looking outward and kind of asking, like, how can I help someone else? Instead of being focused on feeling jilted, feeling slighted, feeling like they didn't get invited, feeling like they're a disappointment. I think that we would all be a little bit happier.
In digging through all the old newspapers, I also found an editorial by the News and Record from the day of that school shooting. It really shows how attitudes have changed. Reading, "The risk of such a thing happening has much more in common with the risk of being hit by a meteorite than it does with day-to-day school violence. As traumatizing an incident like this can be, there's no point in schools wasting time and energy trying to figure out how to prevent random events."